Today is Monday, May 18th. This is our read aloud for Out of My Mind. I left off on quite the cliffhanger. As we know, Melody was not able to take the flight to Washington, and the rest of her team had already left in an earlier flight because they had gone out to breakfast together. And the last time where we left off, the phone started ringing. I hear Mom say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Dimming." She walks quickly into my room, portable phone to her ear, her palm so tight around the receiver I can see the veins on the top of her hand. "No, I don't understand," Mom says curtly. "Why weren't we called?" She listens to him for a minute, then bursts out angrily. "We could have easily been at the airport an hour earlier. We could have been there at dawn." She's almost shouting. "Do you know how much this has devastated my daughter?" A pause. "Yes, I'm aware she's probably the brightest person on the team. Was. The word is was. There is no is." Mom pauses to listen again. "You'll be making it up to her? You've got to be kidding me." Mom hangs up on him and flings the phone into a corner. She wipes her eyes, pulls a tissue from a box on my desk, and sits down heavily on the chair next to my bed. I listen to her blow her nose, then I turn over. "Oh, Melody, if only I could make your hurt go away," she says. I blink at my own tears. She pulls me up onto her lap. It isn't the snuggly fit it used to be, but it feels good. She rocks me, humming softly. I finally fall asleep listening to the rhythm of her heartbeat. Chapter 30. What happened today was all my fault. I should have listened. We should have all stayed home and spent the day together, but we didn't because of me. When I awoke this morning, it was raining. Thunder, lightning, wind. A constant soaking downpour that laughed at umbrellas and raincoats. The air itself was gray and heavy, thick with too much moisture. I could hear it pounding on my window. Dad came into my room and sat down in our old reading chair. He held his wrist carefully. Mom had put his arm in a sling. "Messy day out there," he said. I nodded. "Your team got beat in one of the late rounds in DC last night," he told me. "They got ninth place. A little bitty trophy." But they weren't my team anymore. I tried to pretend like I didn't care. I blinked real hard and faced the wall. "I wish I could fix this for you, Melody," Dad said quietly as he headed out of my room. That made the tears fall for real. At first I didn't want to go to school. I'd been excused because I was supposed to be in Washington, and if I went in, I'd have to sit all day in room H5 with Willie and Maria and Freddie. It seemed pointless. But as I thought about it, I changed my mind. I felt the sorry for myself shift to mad again. And then the mad made me decide that I was not going to sit at home like a kicked around puppy. I was going to show up and let everybody know they didn't beat me. Mom leaned on my door just then and said, "You want to stay home today? No one will blame you." I shook my head forcefully. No, no, no. I kicked the covers off my feet. She sighed. "Okay, okay, but the weather is ugly and I woke up with a migraine. Plus, Penny is sick and Butterscotch threw up on the carpet. I had to put her in the basement." She got me bathed and dressed and took me downstairs. Usually Dad carries me up and down the steps, but with his arm out of commission, Mom just grunted, lifted me, and did it herself. She eased me into my manual chair. My electric chair and lightning storms don't mix well. Hooked up my old plexiglass talking board, ditto for Elvira, then sat down to catch her breath. "Looks like we're going to have a stormy day, honey," she said as she glanced at the wet mess outside the window. As she ran a brush through my hair, she whispered, "So sorry, my Melody. So sorry about everything." I reached up and touched her hand. The rain continued to fall. She fixed me breakfast, scrambled eggs and cream of wheat, and fed me, one spoonful at a time. She kept placing her palm against her forehead. She was unusually quiet. I wondered if she was thinking about how many times she had fed me, how many more times she'd have to. Wearing a floppy yellow hat and yellow duck-footed sleepers, Penny wandered into the kitchen, coughing and sneezing. Mom stopped feeding me, found a Kleenex, and wiped Penny's nose. She hated that, of course, so she screamed like she was being tortured by enemy spies. Normally, Mom makes a game of it and wipes Doodle's nose as well to make Penny tolerate it better, but I guess she didn't feel up to it this time. Then the phone rang. Mom answered, a spoon in one hand, the dirty Kleenex in the other. Hello? You what? You need me to come in? But I'm off today. I'm supposed to be in Washington. She paused. Long story. I cringed. Penny continued to howl. She ought to put Penny in the basement with the dog, I thought, frowning. Butterscotch scratched furiously at the basement door. Penny, please, Mom cried out, cupping her hand over the phone. I can't hear. Penny quieted a little, but only because she had squatted down on the floor and put both hands in Butterscotch's water bowl, sloshing water all over the floor. Mom listened for a minute, then said into the phone, How bad is the accident? Lots of injuries? Okay, I understand. I'll be there, but I have to wait until I get my daughter in the school bus. She hung up the phone and sighed, squeezing the tissue in her fist. I've got to go into the hospital, Chuck, she called out to Dad. Big pile up on the freeway. Are you dressed and ready? Dad came downstairs, still in his pajamas. I'm not going in today, he announced. You almost never take a day off, Mom said, a surprised frown on her face. My wrist is aching, the weather is awful, and Penny has a cold, he explained. Why don't you just stay home with me today? He said to me. But no, I kicked and shrieked and insisted on going to school. Can't miss today, I pointed. Must go, must go. Mom just put her head in her hands once more. Get Penny out of the dog's dish, was all she finally said. Dad ripped a bunch of paper towels from the roll, cleaned up Penny's mess, and wiped her nose with a wet paper towel. That started her screaming again. Her screech became a shriek. That's when she reached up and knocked over the cup of orange juice on my tray. My clean blouse was a soppy mess. She did that on purpose, I thought angrily. Mom simply shrugged her shoulders and yanked off my shirt in one swift motion. She told Dad, Melody is determined to show up at school. Why, I do not know, but she may as well go. I couldn't explain to them that I wanted to see Catherine. Somehow I felt like she'd talk to me and make me feel better. She's a college kid. She would know what to say. Besides, I had to give her that card today. It took Mom several minutes to find a new shirt for me until she remembered all the clean clothes in my suitcase. When she rolled that red suitcase into the kitchen, I looked at her, then looked away. I refused to cry anymore. For some reason, the bus came early that morning. I'd just gotten my clean shirt on. My book bag still needed to be packed with my lunch and Catherine's card, and I had to go to the bathroom. Even over the noise of all the rain and thunder, the honk of the bus horn blared clearly. It always sounds like a goose in pain. I heard Dad open the front door to wave the driver on. He yelled, Don't wait! Don't wait, Gus! She's not ready! The driver, a sandy-haired guy who's been on the route for a couple of years, beeped once more, then rumbled on. Gus is really cool and often waits a few minutes as parents hustle to get their children out of their houses. It just takes us longer sometimes to get it together in the morning. Melody, baby, why don't you just stay home with Dad and Penny today? Please? Mom asked as she lifted me off the toilet. It's such an icky day. I kicked and cried out again, shaking my head. No, no, no. I didn't know why it was so important, but I knew I had to show up. Maybe I wanted to let everybody know what the team had done to me. I wasn't really sure. I only knew I had to go to school. Mom sighed and pulled at my jeans. When I got back in my chair, I pointed to thanks and Mom. She just shook her head and stuffed my lunch into my book bag.